Get the latest in Cardinal sports. Benny Rogers brings you the latest in scores and standings throughout the region. Cardinal Weekly starts now.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Cardinal Weekly presented by the Cardinal Sports Network. I'm Benny Rogers, the Sports Information Officer at TVCC. It's a busy time in the world of sports here at the college, so let's get down to it. National Signing Day for football was last Wednesday, and Coach Brad Smiley will join us in a moment to discuss the recruiting class he and his coaching staff assembled. By all accounts, it's a very good one. This past Saturday night was a special night as we dedicated Leon Spencer Court at Cardinal Gym at halftime of the Lady Cardinals game against Tyler Junior College. Here's some of what Coach Spencer had to say in his remarks to the large crowd in attendance.
This is not all about me. There's too many people that contributed to this that I couldn't name them all today. And there's an awful lot of special people in this crowd today that helped me get and succeed in whatever way we did. And I'm so thankful to all those people, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you, and thank you for coming.
It was a good night all around as the Lady Cardinals scored an 86-45 win, and the Cardinals capped the evening with a 64-57 win. Also Saturday, the college's 5th annual rodeo wrapped up a 2-day run at the Henderson County Fairgrounds. Hats off to Coach Brent Bratton, our rodeo team, and the Army of Volunteers who helped make it another success. Approximately 400 contestants representing 20 colleges and universities participated. We had 5 team members qualify for the short go, when Cecilio Lightning Aguilera and Kobe Thunder Miller in team roping, Austin Gross in bull riding, Justin Whitcher in tight end roping, and Gary Jones in bareback. The Weathers played havoc with the Lady Cardinal softball team. Tuesday's doubleheader in Waco against McClendon was rained out. The week before, the Lady Cardinals, who are 6-4 on the year, had their home opener against Hill washed out. The Lady Cardinals are scheduled to be at home Saturday at 1-3 against Grambling State. Home games are played at Kane Park. Now let's turn our attention to football and signing day. Joining us is 6-year head football coach Brad Smiley, who's also the athletic director here at TVCC. Brad, by all accounts, you and your coaches have put together another outstanding class. And before we get into that class, take us through the recruiting process. Let's say you and your staff have identified the kids that you want to pursue. Then what happens?
Well, really, the identification process actually starts the spring before. You know, last spring we used a lot of the Division I schools, being recruited by nearly every Division I school in the country. They all come through and they're calling, so we'll actually talk to those guys when they spend their 4 weeks out in the spring about getting names and some things like that in schools and different places and different kids. But really, we hit the road hard. As soon as the season ends, we'll get out there and hit the road, and we'll just scour the entire state. And I think if you look at our signing class this year, we've got everybody's represented from East Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, Southeast Texas, San Antonio, Central Texas, Austin area. So, when we go out and we basically hit it hard, everybody goes out, every coach has their area, and we all hit our schools for a week, week and a half, come back in and watch some film, identify who we're going after. At that process, at that point in time, it's just about getting on the phones, getting to know the recruits, talking to their coaches, getting to know the family, explaining them about us, our process, what we do, what we're here for, basically selling us and selling our program, selling the successes of the guys that we've had in the past. And so, that's a big part of it. Now, we got a couple coaches short this year in December, with a couple staff changeover, but the guys that we brought in January were able to jump right in. They didn't necessarily have an area, so it was nice to have some in-house, coaches taking care of their business and handling things. So for me, it was, we get on the phones, we work them, we get them set up for visits, bring them in. There generally will be a 2-week process where I try to go hit everybody I can. Being the head coach, go get in the house or go see them at schools. And the week before signing day, the week before dead period, it was, Austin on Monday, San Antonio Tuesday, back in Athens Wednesday for visits. Thursday was Houston, Friday was Dallas-Fort Worth, Saturday back in Athens for visits, and then Sunday go hit anybody before dead period starts midnight. Go hit anybody that needs to be hit and settle down and put out some fires and things like that. So I love the process. That's why I coach college football, and I honestly do. The recruiting is I love it. I love to meet people and get to know them and sell our program and what we do. So that's why I do it. But can't say enough what a great job the coaching staff did this year. They really did. This has been, the continuity within the staff. Although we lost two, there were still four of us, or five of us that have been together for several years. So that makes things a lot easier.
When you sell the college and the football program, what are some highlights or high points that you hit with the recruits?
Well, the first thing we hit with them was we talk about our mission statement. Being a business major and a business grad, we have a mission statement that's to graduate, win a championship, earn a scholarship. Those are the three things that we sell. That's the Valley Boy mission. Really, for us, nothing else matters. I mean, there's nothing else that they could do here in school. Everything else to me can be a distraction to one of those three things in that process. So that's the biggest thing that we sell. And of course, our success speaks for itself. I mean, we led the country last year. We led the nation in Division I signees last year. We had 16 Division I signees. All 25 sophomores last year signed a full ride somewhere. So when you can sit there and tell a mom or tell an 18-year-old young man, listen, you come here, take care of your business, follow the blueprint for success, you're going to be successful. You're going to have opportunities to move on to the next level. And, depending on what you put on film as far as Division I, Division II player, that's going to be really up to you and the development of us as a coaching staff, how we can help you get there. But to lead the nation with 16 Division I signees, 8 of those 16 were with BCS programs. We duplicated that again this year. 15 Division I signees, and I haven't gone through and totaled up all the numbers, but we'll be top 3, top 5 every year. Had another 8 BCS signees. So, I mean, it's hard to argue with success. Regardless of what happens on the field, it's hard to argue with the track record that we have for success. There's not too many things that other schools can kind of attack us on, which they try in recruiting, but hey, when you put a good product out there and guys are coming through and having success, it almost sells itself.
As we turn our attention now to this year's recruiting class, when you look at the sheer numbers of kids signed, I think you're up around 40, 41 now, something like that. But it appears to me that the focus was along the defensive and offensive lines and at wide receiver.
Well, we had to. This year, all 4 startings up front on the defensive line signed Division I scholarships. So, and then we had another backup signed Division I. And then another one decided to, walk on somewhere. So, who was a freshman, but. So anyway, we had, from sheer numbers sake, we had to go find some defensive linemen. I mean, and we know right now, when it comes down to football, up front, both sides of the ball, quarterback are really your keys to winning championships and competing for championships and not. So there is a big value we put on those positions the last several years. We felt like we've had, this year with 4 Division I signees on our defensive line and 5 Division I signees on our offensive line. This is something that we can sell to these young men coming out of the program, that this is what we do. That people across the country recruit us for these, major positions of need in every program at every level of football. So we've got a lot of guys we have to replace. And defensive line-wise, just from sheer numbers, again, like I said. But, the guys out there, Dallas Morning News, top 100 Oklahoma double signee, Kerrick Huggins was a big one for us. Keandre Love at Arlington High School. This is another one that everybody in the league was going after, pretty hot and heavy. And, to me, I think, he's got a tremendous upside. He's got height, he's got length, he's got a great motor. And that's really what we recruit to. There's some other defensive linemen that may be highly touted, but not necessarily what we look for anymore. And that kind of changed about 3 years ago. Really just speed. You want length, you want speed, and you want explosiveness. And it's not, to me, that doesn't have to be on a 300-pound body. I would rather get those guys that are 250 to 280, and let us build them. Coach Pond and Coach Bryan does a great job in our strength conditioning program. These guys, they're going to put on 15 to 25 pounds of muscle when they get here. So we had some ends returning. Duval Jackson played a lot of time for us last year. Jostin Thomas played a lot for us last year. These guys are returning. Chris Weathered was a wheel backer. He's putting his hand in the ground. But, we had to find some, strong ends that come in and compete and defensive tackles that come in and compete right away for playing time. So I'm really excited about the defensive line.
You mentioned quarterback. That's a position that we got a little thin at last year for various reasons. Where do we stand there?
Well, we took 3 at mid-year. It's a unique situation. My first high school early enrollee since being here as head coach. That's kind of more the trend with quarterbacks at the Division I level. LeVar Robinson out of Orlando, Florida, Evans High School, had several Division I offers. But a few things fell through late at those schools, and he needed a place to go because he was graduating. His high school coach was on a staff at Edgewater High in Orlando, where we got Kent Gaines out of a few years ago, and Kent Gaines came in, and after 2 years moved on to Kansas State. So he knows us well in our program, and they trust us. So they called me and just said, hey, here's the deal. Of course, I did my fair share of research as well, and I talked to David Beatty, a buddy of mine who's on the staff at A&M. He was on their recruiting board. They really liked him, and he was just blown away that we'd have an opportunity to get him. So really excited about LeVar. He had 2 transfers come in as well. Ryan Polite, who was out of DeSoto High School, who was ESPN Texas 5A Player of the Year. He's been down at UTSA for the last couple of years, the redshirt freshman year. Set their school passing record this year in a game form that he started, I believe, is the San Jose State or Rice. But, those 2 coming in, and then Kyle Copeland from ARP, who Kyle was a playmaker. He's a winner. He went to the Air Force. He was going to be the next Blaine Morgan, Bo Morgan, and all those guys, and just felt like that really wasn't going to be, his lifestyle and career later on down the line. So he came in as well. So really going into recruiting, we were thinking, I don't really need to sign one, but for the numbers' sake. But if I love a kid, then we'll go get him. And there was one kid. We had one quarterback on our board, and it was Monty James from Mount Pleasant. Monty's a playmaking machine. Makes plays with his feet. He can extend plays, and that's kind of the trend of, you look at the last few years and the success that we've had with Tucker Carter and Sedarius Blackshear, and then this year looking at the success that Rollison had at Tyler, and some of these other quarterbacks that had a lot of success this year in this league. It's all about, when things break down, who can keep a play alive, who can extend things, who can keep things going and make a play. So that's really, that's what Monty does. That's what LeVar can do. That's what Copeland can do. That's what Ryan Polite can do. And of course, we return Hunter McCoy. And, Hunter started 4 games for us last season and had his fair share of struggles as a freshman. We are not a quarterback friendly system. Mm-hmm. It's friendly to everybody but quarterback, running back, tight end. Really, they have to know everything. So, he took his lumps. We haven't had to play a true freshman yet around here in a few years that hadn't had a spring with us. So I'm excited to see the development of Hunter this spring, along with the 3 others that are in here competing. So I'm looking forward to a great spring at the quarterback position.
As you look at the recruiting list, who are some of these names on here that fans may hear quickly next year for you?
Well, I think, we hit Dallas pretty hard, and Dallas Morning News Top 100, we've signed 5 of them off the Top 100 list. We've got 2 more, or possibly 3, I think, we'll get signed in the next few weeks. So, obviously those guys are guys that sign with upper echelon programs already. Some of them didn't. I guess we have to probably start with Jarvis Baxter from Garland Lakeview Centennial. He was been an SMU commit since last spring. He's extremely athletic wide receiver. Just an athlete overall. I've watched him play basketball. I watched him in pregame, puts on a pretty nice dunk show, and some of the things he can do. Markel McKnack is a running back out of that same Garland League who was the overall MVP of the league. The guy was a 2,000-yard rusher. He was he was the 5A leading rusher in the regular season in the Dallas area. So Tay Green, wide receiver from Garland High, who played some Wildcat quarterback, running back, receiver. He was the offensive MVP in that league. He's a special player as well. Those are guys that you look at along, Jeff Harris out of Allen. Offensively, those are some of the guys that you look at and say, man, these guys, they're going to come in, they're going to play early. These guys are going to come in and make a lot of plays for us. DeVar McCrae's a big receiver out of the Killeen area. Mark Roman Jr., a lot of them remember his dad played at LSU, played with the 49ers, Green Bay Packers. He's a heck of an athlete. So obviously you're going to hear the skill positions names come in there, but offensively before you'll hear some of the linemen. But offensive line-wise, we feel like we've signed some studs. Garrett Gunner was a guy that everybody in this league was trying to get, including had some Division I offers. Just wasn't exactly what he was looking for. So Garrett looks at the fact that, hey, they're having all these guys success coming in and signing Division I. He doesn't have any academic, constraints because he's qualified out of high school. So, he's looking to just come in and remarket himself and move on to the next level. George Roberts signed with the University of Memphis, big 6'6", 6'7" tackle down in the San Antonio area, another guy that everybody was hot and heavy after. We feel like, the top 3 offensive line recruits that everyone in this league was recruiting, we got 2 of them. And then, last Friday we added late Cody Hayes, who was a Texas Tech signee, big offensive tackle out of Fort Worth Eastern Hills. Plus we had already signed Quentin Jordan, who played opposite him at the other tackle spot. So, I mean, there's some guys just, going through I'm excited about them all. I mean, there's some guys out here who can flat out play. Defensively, we return a lot of guys in the secondary. Our entire secondary were freshmen. So they'll all be back. But, there's some guys that we felt like, secondary-wise, I loved who we signed because we just kind of put a premium on, we're just not going, unless we don't feel that they're just a no-doubt Division I player, then we're not going to sign them. And that's kind of what we went out and got. I mean, this is, Bubba Denmark is a guy that everybody knows in there. He's from Garland Lakeview Centennial. Quayshawn Mitchell, from Fort Worth O.D. White. Of course, I can't forget Liddell Marshall. There's another top 100 guy. I even forgot to mention him because he's going to play receiver for us. There's a 6'1", 210-pound guy who runs 10.6. Beat Jonathan Gray every time they ever raced in the 100 meters. This guy can fly at 210 pounds. So, there's just so many good players. Paul Barksdale from down in Palestine is another exciting playmaker. Played more defense in high school, but he can run. I mean, he's changed directions is pretty good. So we're going to put him on the offensive side of the ball. But, defensive line-wise, you're going to hear those names that we've already talked about. You're going to hear Jannard Champagne. You're going to hear Carrick Huggins. You're going to hear Keandre Love, Uganda Nwari we just picked up late last week. Those guys are going to come in and play. Trevin Cleveland, linebacker. Brandon Hines, who signed with New Mexico State, another, top 100 guy in Dallas. Bryson Haywood, Eric Jackson from Garland High. These guys are going to come in and play at backer. You should hear these guys' names. The secondary and the linebackers, as it pans out on the depth chart, you should hear their names on special teams. Being the head coach, being the special teams coordinator, I look at these guys and I'm looking for fast, explosive, tough, physical type guys. Regardless of what the depth chart looks like, let's get those type of guys on campus so they can fly down the field and make plays for us in the kicking game. So that's going to be big. And then, of course, Dylan McClain. You're going to hear his name,
Kicker out of Waukesha.
Kicker out of Waukesha. Exactly. You emailed me about back in September watching this guy kick, and he came down and kicked for us live one day, and Kyle Purcelli out of Eustis. I mean, it's going to be a good competition. I think he's got a tremendous upside. We still have to find a deep snapper to put into this class because, we just lost another Division I deep snapper moving on. But, all in all, those are a lot of the names that you'll hear, that are going to pop up. I mean, so I think Jonathan Barber, safety from Dangerfield. I mean, I hate to leave out anybody, and I don't think I'm leaving out many. We got some guys in here at mid-year that I'm looking forward to spring ball. Tamarian Dickerson. Right, Utah State running back transfer, who ended up going home before last fall. Just had some family issues he had to take care of. So he's here to kind of get re-recruited. And Matt Wells, the head coach of Utah State, a very good friend of mine for a long time. And he had nothing but good things to say about TD. And he feels like we've got a steal. I think they're trying to talk him into coming back if they could get him. But, being that far from home was part of his issue. Right. We've talked about the quarterbacks. Grant Shaw, offensive tackle transfer from Forney, from North Texas. Another big body coming in, Reggie Harris. Reggie was recruited by the league actually last year. And we recruited Reggie and didn't get a chance to sign him until now. So a lot of excitement, a lot of guys, a lot of playmakers, a lot of great kids that they came in, they fell in love with the plan, the mission statement, everything that we wanted to get done for them and how we can help them reach their goals and dreams. So,
well, with the recruiting process mostly behind you now, I know you'll still be picking up some along the way. Turn your attention to spring football. You have the dates for that set and what you expect to accomplish in the spring.
They're set. I mean, this is, we're in really the first phase of spring and off season through weights and things like this. And we've got a few more weeks of that. Then we'll go into our early morning off season breakfast club. Where we do our 6 a.m. workouts and really just start to just bring the discipline and the team unity along and things like that. And that'll be 2 weeks before spring break and then the week after. Then we'll get into spring ball that last week of March. Monday through Thursday, the first 2 weeks. And then we go Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and Saturdays. We practice on Saturday mornings. We always have a live scrimmage. That helps our guys in recruiting. A lot of people just do spring ball Monday through Thursday and get them out of there. But being a former Division I coach myself, if you can steal a day on the road, then you go steal a day. And we believe we give that opportunity for those Division I's to steal a day coming on Saturday mornings and watching the scrimmage. Right. So they can stay out one more night Friday night, watch a live scrimmage Saturday morning, evaluate our kids, and get a chance to then go back into the office and get done what they need to get done. So we're going to go all the way like we normally do. We wrap it up all the way at our spring game will be the 27th of April. Final start, May 2nd. Right. And that's what we've always done, and Dr. Drumgold always loved it because we kept him busy. So no idle time on campus. Right. But that's what we do. We go all the way up into its finals and then, move off into summer workouts.
Right. Well, Brad, we want to thank you for dropping by today and talking about Cardinal football, and we'll be following these young men now for the next 2 years, and hopefully they'll bring us that championship.
No doubt. I appreciate you having me, Ben.
That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Cardinal Weekly. For the Cardinal Sports Network, I'm Benny Rogers reporting.